Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Echoes of Me. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and in today's episode, we will be looking at unpopular opinions on relationships, specifically looking at the psychology of love and compatibility. For those of you that didn't know, I actually just submitted my thesis, my master's thesis, and my topic was about intercultural relationships amongst African expats here in China. So I've dived into a lot of research on relationships, and in today's episode within the unpopular opinion, I will be linking whatever research I found in my own thesis and what insights that taught me about the unpopular opinion. The first unpopular opinion is love at first sight isn't real. It's just attraction. Now, in psychology, Helen Fisher's biological theory of love, she identifies three brain systems. It's lust, attraction, and attachment. Lust is driven by hormones. Attachment is dopamine and norepinephrine. This is the excitement phase. Lust is driven by hormones, testosterone and estrogen. Attachment is oxytocin and vasopressin. This is used for long-term bonding. Zoc 2017 found that people who claim love at first sight actually report strong physical attraction, not deep emotional connection. Neurological studies show early attraction activates reward centers in the brain, and this is the same response to cocaine. What this means is it feels intense but isn't stable love. So when you meet someone and you feel that instant click, it's actually your dopamine system lighting up. That rush of attraction, it feels powerful, but real love, the kind that sustains, that comes later through emotional bonding, trust and familiarity. I don't know about you guys, but there's been many times where I would meet someone and there is just this instant chemistry, there's this click, and in that moment the feeling is so intense that you can just imagine your whole life with this person, because the feeling is so intense, like it's evoking so much emotions at the same time, like your body is just like ignited. And later on, you once you familiarize yourself with the person, once you guys are actually bonding, you actually start to realize that this person that you initially had the spark with is actually not your person, and you guys are actually not that similar, or your values don't really align. That's why, in my personal opinion, I also don't think love at first sight exists. I think I can understand where it comes from. I get that sometimes you meet someone and there's just this connection, and that feeling that you feel in that moment is not something that you feel with everyone. It's not like you meet someone or you see someone and you're like, wow, you're instantly drawn to this person. There are only a few people that happens with. So I get the connection between stating love at first sight. The issue is the word love at first sight, because I don't think that you can love someone that instantly. Love is something that forms over time. I think it's attraction, it's lust, it's chemistry at the start. But when it comes to love, I personally don't think that you can love someone within the first 3 months of knowing them. Yeah, so I think at the start, when you first see someone, it's definitely more lust, attraction, and attachment, more so than love. I think that comes later on after further bonding. So maybe love at first sight isn't a lie. It's just chemistry pretending to be connection. Number two, opposites attract doesn't work long term. Shared values matter more. So in psychology, we have Burn's similarity attraction theory. This is a study that was done in 1971. And what the study found was we're attracted to people who validate our beliefs and reinforce our worldview. Then there's cognitive dissonance theory. This study was done in 1957. The study explains why opposites create long-term tension. Dissonant values create psychological discomfort. So if your values and your partner's values are very different, like polar opposites, that creates a space of discomfort. And people don't often like to sit in discomfort, but what happens is, even though the discomfort is there, people find ways to kind of rationalize and justify what is happening to take that discomfort away. So even though there are misaligned values, they still stay in the relationship because of the narrative that they create in their head. And I think that's because the attachment to the person is so strong that they need to find ways to stay connected to the person. They do not want to leave. And this happens with a lot of people that has an anxious attachment style because they struggle to let people go. Like once they have this connection with someone, they become very codependent on the person. Even if there's misaligned values or the feeling within in you is screaming that you shouldn't be with this person, they will find ways to take that discomfort away. Another study by Markey and Markey 2007, they actually found that shared attachment styles and personality congruence predict longer relationship satisfaction. Okay, so studies are consistently showing that value similarity and not personality differences predicts relationship longevity and satisfaction. Opposite traits like introvert, extrovert, planner, spontaneous can be exciting at first, but they often create conflict over time. But now, even though this is what research suggests about relationships and attachment, I do think that irrespective of this, people still tend to get into relationships where they are completely opposite. I think people don't understand just how much values play a part in who you are and your relationship. If you experience this cognitive dissonance, those things are overlooked in current relationships that I see. That is why we have a lot of, I would say, unhealthy relationships right now, because people are getting into a relationship with someone that doesn't have the same values as you and you're trying to make it work. That is why relationships feel very difficult as well. Yes, relationships are difficult. There's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of complications that comes with a relationship dynamic. It's two personalities coming together. However, I do feel that people make their relationships even more difficult because they choose partners that have completely different values to theirs and they try to make it work. And so it's your values versus their values constantly clashing. If you have different values, you are constantly trying to oppose your value onto the next person and vice versa. The relationship doesn't become a bonding experience more so than I'm trying to mold you into what I want experience. And it will never happen. Is values, it's at our core. It's what makes us who we are. It's a very strong building block that many people overlook when they meet another person. The first thing that you should look at is this person's values, not this person's personality or how this person is treating you, because at their core, if they have good values or similar values to you, how they treat you will naturally just be what you need. So overall, opposites attract because novelty feels exciting. Having someone that's different from you, it feels exciting. Having someone that's completely opposite to you, it feels exciting. It's exhilarating. It's the dopamine hit of difference. But long-term love, it needs a foundation of safety and understanding. Shared values mean fewer daily conflicts and deeper emotional alignment. So maybe opposites attract, but similarities attach. Number 3, a relationship doesn't have to be passionate to be successful. Sternberg's triangular theory of love in 1986. And as you can see, these studies are done such a long time ago. This theory says that love consists of 3 elements: passion, intimacy, and commitment. So this is the building blocks that makes a relationship, right? Passion is physical and emotional arousal. Intimacy is emotional closeness. And commitment is the decision to maintain long-term love. Long-term satisfaction often correlates with companionate love. And this love is intimacy and commitment, not passionate love. When you look at the 3 components, passion, intimacy, and commitment, long-term satisfaction is usually correlated with only intimacy and commitment, where passion is excluded. Hatfield 1988 found passionate love declines over time as novelty wears off. But companionate love predicts stability and life satisfaction. What the research is telling us is that passion fades. It's supposed to. That doesn't mean the relationship is dying. Mature love looks quieter, like safety, not sparks. That's what Sternberg calls companionate love. And that's what sustains real connection. My personal take on opposites doesn't attract is that I agree. I fully agree. I've been in relationships where I've been with someone that is opposite. I had a tendency to be more attracted to people that was very opposite to me. It felt more exciting. It felt like I could learn something from the person. I felt the people that were too similar to me, there were no attraction because there was no excitement. But in all those relationships, long term, it didn't work out because there were no shared values. So there were daily conflicts, there was constant arguing. The relationship felt very toxic also because of the misalignment in values. I'm currently in a relationship where for the first time we have shared values. I would say probably like 85% of our values are similar. It's the same. And what I found is that 15% of value misalignment is where we have the most conflict in our relationship. It's where things stir up. It's where we get heightened emotions and intense. That is what brings about the conflict. It's all rooted in our values, actually. So what I noticed with my current relationship is I have less arguments and less disagreements, less conflicts, but the time that we do have, it all stems back to where we actually have a value misalignment. With my previous relationships, there were a lot of like butterflies and just like a lot of dopamine hits. Where this relationship is different. It's not that I don't feel those things, but it's not so much more excitement. I feel a lot more safe and grounded in this relationship just because there's such a value alignment. So maybe we should stop chasing butterflies and start nurturing roots. Number 4, marriage is overrated. It doesn't prove commitment. In psychology, there's a social exchange theory. What this theory is saying is that in relationships, people are evaluating their relationships based on perceived cost and rewards. And this theory also states that marriage doesn't automatically change that. Attachment theory says securely attached people show commitment through emotional availability and reliability, not status symbols of formal contracts. So, studies are showing that cohabiting couples can have similar values of satisfaction and stability when they share commitment values. And if we look at the divorce rates, this indicates that marriage alone doesn't ensure relational success. Psychological readiness and relational skills do. So, according to research, marriage is a social structure, not a psychological guarantee. It's not to say that if I do get married, I will have a successful relationship or I will have relationship satisfaction or the love will be long term. True commitment shows up in consistent behavior, emotional safety, and mutual respect, not a ring or a certificate. In my experience, I've seen a lot of marriages where the two individuals within the marriage is not happy, but the fact that they are married makes them feel obligated to stay in it because of this huge commitment that they made, that it almost feels like if they walk away from it or step outside of it or break that commitment, that they failed. But failed what and failed who? With my parents, they were married for a very, very long time. Growing up, as I became older, I noticed that there was some type of resentment between the two of them. It almost felt like they didn't want to be married, but they stayed married for me and my sister. And I think in my culture, that's a common thing because marriage is seen as like the ultimate commitment that you can make and it shouldn't be broken. I think there's a lot of religious value that goes into that as well. So it's not easy to walk away from something like a marriage. I always felt that my parents brought out the worst in each other. Them being married didn't make them the best versions of themselves. And what happened is when they actually separated, I feel like they became better people. I actually saw them for who they are. When they were together, I saw a completely different version of both of them in their relationship, in their marriage. I actually only really experienced who they were when they were separated. I liked who they were better when they were separated. And this can just be me personally because I was their daughter. I was kind of in the middle of their marriage. Maybe it felt a little bit easier for me to have them separated because there was less conflict that I had to sit in, less uncomfortability that I had to be a part of. When they separated, that weight went away, but it could also be that I was a lot older when they were separated as well. So I developed more of an appreciation for my parents growing up. But that's beside the point. The point is that marriage did prove commitment, but look at who they were becoming because of that belief. You should want to be committed to someone, irrespective of a certificate binding you. You should want to put in the work, want to invest in the person. The person should make you be and feel better. And I think what is happening or what has happened, especially like with our parents, like the millennials parents, is that a lot of them felt like they needed to stay together because they are married. And I think it caused a lot of damage within the family system to have that belief. Because look at, in my case, the marriage, the relationship, them feeling the need to stay together hurt the kids more than they thought it would. And then when they were separated, we were almost liberated. So you can't measure love by paperwork. You measure it by presence and by what the relationship is and stands for, and what the relationship makes you, and how the relationship makes you feel and those around you feel, especially if you have kids. Number 5, the spark isn't everything. Compatibility beats chemistry. Okay, so attachment theory again explains why the spark can be misleading. Anxious attachment styles often interpret arousal and anxiety as chemistry. And then the independence theory shows successful couples balance autonomy with connection. That's compatibility. So what research is telling us is that securely attached individuals report less emphasis on chemistry and more on shared goals, safety, and emotional understanding. So that electric feeling isn't always chemistry. Sometimes it's anxiety. Compatibility is the calm that lets love breathe. Passion ignites love, yes, but safety sustains it. And personally, I can agree because, like I said before, all those relationships where there was this huge spark, those relationships ended up being the ones where I had such a big misalignment in values. The spark was there, the chemistry was there, but that's it. If I think back, there were 2 relationships where there was this ignited spark. There was this instant chemistry. There was this attraction. There was what I thought was like butterflies whenever I was around them. And let me tell you something. Those 2 relationships are the 2 relationships that traumatized me the most. Because that's all that it was. There was just this spark, this chemistry, this passion, but nothing else. There was nothing to sustain the relationship. So staying in that relationship after experiencing like a spark like that actually hurt me in the long run. I don't think you should overlook the people that you don't have a spark with. This is why people that are friends first and then develop a relationship seem to have a deeper connection. And that's because the spark was eliminated in that. There was no spark to begin with. It was just bonding. And if I look at my current relationship, again, there was no big spark in the beginning. But this relationship is the healthiest relationship and the safest I've ever felt in a relationship. So maybe the real spark is peace. Okay, number 6. Soulmates don't exist, but timing does. So in psychology, developmental psychology says, and these are Erikson's stages of development for those that studied psychology, it says that love readiness comes after identity development. Erikson's stages of development, it is different stages of life from when you're a baby to when you're like in old age. And what this theory is actually saying is that only after your identity stage, which is about past adolescent stage, is when you are ready to love. So what the theory is saying, you only become ready for love once you develop your identity. Attachment theory again plays a role. People repeat relational patterns until they're emotionally ready for the healthy connection. So what this is saying is, until that person is actually ready to commit, they will keep making the same mistakes and doing the same things in the relationship until they are emotionally available for connection. This is why you cannot change your partner in a relationship. You cannot make them ready for something. That will naturally come with time, when they are ready. That is why someone can be in a relationship for 10 years and not get married, and then later on in their life they're in a relationship for 1 year and they get married. That's because in their 10-year relationship they weren't ready, whereas in their later relationship it's a shorter time that they were together, but they were more ready that time. They were more emotionally available. Studies on emotional maturity and life stage readiness show that timing and not destiny predicts successful relationships. So, research is telling us that when you have that emotional maturity and you are at that life stage, that is where your relationships actually become successful. So, you can meet the right people at the wrong time all the time. I dated this guy, and he was a good guy. But at his stage of development, like he wasn't ready for what I was ready for. My stage of development, I think, was where I was ready to settle down. We actually had a lot of shared values. We had this friendship within our relationship. We got along so well. There wasn't a lot of issues within our relationship, except for the fact that it didn't feel like we were at the same point in our lives. And it's not to say that he was the wrong person. What it felt like is if I had to give him a couple of years, the two of us would have had a really good relationship. But at that time where we were, it just the timing was off. Like it was the wrong time. It was the wrong time for us. Like where we were at in our lives, it would not have worked. Just because I was more ready emotionally than what he was. And I wasn't going to sit around and wait for him to get to that stage because that wouldn't have been fair for me. It would have meant that I wanted to speed up his process, but it would also have meant that he's slowing down mine. So when you meet the right person, it's not fate, it's development. We find love when we're ready to sustain it. So maybe they aren't soulmates, just two people whose timing finally aligned. Okay, the last one for this section. Number 7, you don't have to love yourself fully to be loved by someone else. In psychology, according to attachment theory and co regulation, research shows that relationships can heal insecure attachment patterns. Interpersonal neurobiology suggests humans regulate emotions best through safe relationships. Love can be reparative. So, what the research is telling us is partners with differing levels of self esteem can thrive if one provides consistent emotional support. So, if one partner is able and has the capacity to give you that some emotional support that you need to develop and to thrive and to heal, it's possible for you to actually heal within the relationship. But if you do not have that emotional support, it's likely that you are just going to be either hurt by the relationship or just continue repeating old patterns. That wound will never be healed if you don't have a partner that can be emotionally supportive, that can be your emotional safety net. Without that, you're not going to heal from it. So while it is possible, there is a term that your partner needs to be emotionally ready to hold that space for you. If you have a secure love, it fosters self-acceptance over time. So what the research is telling us is that you don't have to be perfectly healed to deserve love. Healthy relationships can actually help you grow. You can co-regulate, learn, and heal together. However, do understand that your partner needs to understand that that is happening and support that. If you just go into a relationship without communicating that this is what you want to do and without the partner being capable and able to help you through it, it won't happen. While research does state that it is possible, I actually disagree with what the research is saying because I think there are people that use the relationship as a safety net, as in they like having a person. They are very codependent, so they need to be in a relationship. They need to have a partner. And that in itself is something that they need to heal. And they cannot heal codependence while being codependent. Yes, you can heal within a relationship, but I feel that healing happens better when you are by yourself. Sometimes I feel like relationship dynamics, it's a whole new thing that you need to navigate. If you're trying to find your identity and you're trying to navigate your relationship simultaneously, that's going to cost you so much emotionally and psychologically. If you don't know how to be by yourself and regulate by yourself and heal by yourself, I think a lot of people feel like I can't heal in a relationship because they don't want to heal by themselves. They are codependent. And this happens a lot with anxious attachment styles where they cannot be without a relationship. They don't know how to be by themselves. They need to have someone. They can't be alone. In today's day and age, there are a lot of people that cannot be alone. They don't know how to be alone. They need to have a partner. It's just uncomfortable for them to not be with someone. And I think if that is the case, then healing within a relationship will not work. I think what the research explaining is that it is possible. But what the research also points out is there's specific terms and conditions where it is possible. It's not possible for everyone. And given what you need to heal, is the partner able to handle what you are needing to heal, or is the partner pouring salt on that wound? It's for you to know and decide what to do next and how to do it. But if you are in a relationship trying to heal and you've never tried on your own, how will you know? I think that if you've never taken the time to heal outside of a relationship, it's going to be very difficult or impossible for you to heal inside one. And if you are trying to heal from a wound of a previous relationship, I think that that would be especially difficult to heal within another relationship, because the whole point was that you needed to heal a relationship wound, and now you're getting into another one. If your partner is incapable of actually helping you heal that wound, if they don't have the skills and the emotional maturity to handle that, how do you think they are going to heal that? If anything, you're just going to walk in with your previous relationship's wounds and it's going to seep into your new relationship. Ultimately, what I would say is your partner is very important. You can heal within the relationship, given that your partner is capable, able, and emotionally supportive. This also means that your partner needs to be very securely attached. It means your partner needs to have a high EQ, and it means that your partner has to have good communication skills in order for you to heal within that relationship. If your partner does not have that, it's likely that you will not be able to heal in that relationship, because it means that you will have a lot of other dynamics, a lot of other challenges that you will need to deal with your partner outside of the wounds that you still have. I think that a book that demyths this opinion is Jay Shetty's 8 Rules of Love. I personally feel that if you are ready to settle down, if you are wanting to actually get into a long-term relationship, that book is something that you should read. You should invest in reading that book, because it helps make you ready for the relationship that you need, not what you think you want. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want you guys to comment down below whether you agree with the unpopular opinion or disagree, and why that is. Let's see if we have the same views. If you agree with research, if you don't agree with the research. We all have our own experiences, and our experiences creates our perception and our worldview. So I'd be very interested to see what you guys have to say about it. So leave a comment down below. And until next time, bye. I don't know how to say this word. No repinephrine. No repinephrine. No repinephrine. No repinephrine. No repinephrine. Attachment. Wait. Vasopressin. Vasopressin. I'm off track. Let me just roll back. What is the point? Correlates with compassionate love and oh shit. Oh fuck. This is long-term bond. Companionative. Companion. Companion. With my parents, I don't know if I should speak about this. Let's just talk. So what research? I'm kind of hungry.